This Thanksgiving Day long weekend, this 5-day long weekend, is set up to be huge. Last year, well, you had Rachel Zegler in The Hunger Games and Wish. Oh God, you remember Wish? Oof, yeah, that's what was coming out on the weekend. And well, it's a little bit different of a situation here because you have three, count them, three enormous films at the cinema right now. One looks primed to fall off, and two of them look primed to soar. One of which being Wicked right now. At this point in time, bro, like it is absolutely crushing. We'll take a look. This is of course Thursday evening. Domestically, $144 million. Could very well over the weekend. I would say it has a good shot of hitting 200 mil. Okay, internationally, it's got to pick up the pace. Otherwise, it might not hit that $1 billion mark, but we'll have to see. We'll have to see, okay? And the big new release that's coming out, we don't necessarily have numbers for it, but as it sits right now, Moana easily topping Thanksgiving week records after us scoring a massive $57.5 million, which is, from what we're hearing from early reviews, not great, but I think this movie, there was a good chance that it was always going to succeed. And is it going to do $1 billion? Oh no, for sure not. There's not a lot of competition that's coming out, especially from Disney's side of things, which, oh boy, we're getting early tracking numbers from Mufasa. And let's just say, if you're looking at live action animated films, Edgy the Hedgy, there's a good chance that he's going to be the best of the season. But anyways, the movie business hasn't had much to be thankful for in recent years. Yeah, and specifically Disney. 2023 was rough as hell, but 2024, they're actually, sitting pretty fine. But that's changing this holiday week as a trio of splashy new releases are bringing audiences back to the cinema in a big way. The most irresistible attraction is undoubtedly Disney's animations Moana 2, which has racked up a massive $57.5 million on Wednesday and is expected to dominate the Thanksgiving holiday box office with a performance for the history books. Moana 2, which was originally developed as a television show for Disney Plus, interesting, before it was retrofitted into a theatrical feature. It's funny because I'm old enough to remember when there were certain Disney sequels, looking specifically at Return of Jafar, that were, fit the same mold. Now, it's been a long time since I've seen Return of Jafar, but I remember liking Prince of Thieves. But anyways, it is projected to collect at least $175 million over its first 5 days. Oof, Lord have mercy. Rival Studios have it hitting $200 million. Yeah, we'll see, because I'll take a look at the box office next week, and well, it'll be interesting, because I'm more interested in Wicked, and it's holy shit. If you've been seeing some of these interviews that I've been seeing, we might just have a laugh along next week. Not setting anything in stone, but I mean, there's only so much cringe that I can keep to myself without sharing it with the rest of the world. It achieves, yes, these lofty estimates. Moana 2 will easily break records for the biggest Thanksgiving haul of all time, overtaking the previous highs set by Frozen 2. That's hilarious, because Frozen 1 was a bit of a cultural phenomenon, but Frozen 2, does anybody even talk about that film? That's kind of crazy how those are such big films, but they don't really have that much, at least the second one doesn't have that much of a cultural imprint. Like in my neck of the woods where it's snowing like a motherfucker, like I'll see the little snowman. I think his name's Olaf, right? Like I'll see him around, okay? And then of course, there's a lot of Elsa and Brunette's sister. Like I'll see a lot of that stuff around. I haven't seen Frozen. Okay, I know Let It Go was huge and it was everywhere, but Frozen 2, there's just nothing to that. But anyways, we're talking about Moana 2 right now. And 2013's Hunger Games Catching Fire, yes, with $109 million as opposed to, yes, Frozen 2's $125 million, which, yeah, looks like Moana 2's easily on track to breeze past. Moana 2's opening day already ranks the third biggest for an animated title behind Incredibles 2 and Inside Out 2. One mediocre film and one bad film. I'll let you decide. Now, globally, the film has earned $66.3 million. But yeah, back to the raw numbers on this one. Like, you got Wicked that's out here performing well, and that should capture, I don't know, like, as Moana 2 is more than likely going to be the big family film, what well-adjusted people are likely, if they're going to go to the theaters, that's more than likely what they're going to pick. Oh, it's a Disney film, just go ahead and go with that one, potentially, if they've washed the bad taste of Disney out of their mouth and go, I remember Moana, it came out less than a decade ago, and it's getting a sequel, it should be fine, I guess. Maybe they'll go to that one. Or for the childless box wine enthusiasts, they'll go check out Wicked. But Gladiator, Gladiator 2, that's going to be a little bit of a different conundrum. as we sit right now, okay, the international markets, it just crossed $307 million, $141 million domestically. I'll be interested to see, because word of mouth for Wicked, for the people that have seen it, it's like, okay, the basic takeaway is they like it, but their cautious recommendation for the film has been, if you like musicals, you're going to like this one, okay? But me, I would rather watch an SPCA get set on fire and listen to the blood-curdling howls of that, as opposed to listening to Ariana Grande and Symphony or Revo warble out some postmodern nonsense. I'll be good. I'll let other people. I'll let the women and, it's the nicest way to put it, dildo enthusiasts, I'll let them go check it out. As for Gladiator 2, I don't want this film to exist. I do not consider it canon to Gladiator 1. And the fact that, yeah, it's been kind of falling off, and the early presumption for Wednesday is that it's not even hitting Tuesday numbers, and it's very much fallen off. I'll be interested. I'll be very interested to see if it ends up recovering any momentum, if it ends up being, oh, the guy's movie, because we need to go ahead and segment things into that direction. There was a point in time, right? Like even, Star Wars, back when it was good and it was not owned by Disney. Like when you'd have a big tentpole film like that, it didn't have to be designated as the guy's film. Okay, yeah, it would probably have a more male-centric target audience, but if a film was good, people would go see it. It's like Avengers films, okay? It was like Marvel movies back before they were, Phase 4 and all that stuff. They were made to be consumable by the masses. They had strong male characters, they had strong female characters, and people liked it a lot. Simple stuff. It was very simple stuff. For the reviews I've heard of Gladiator 2, it's like, yeah, there's not too many competent, likable, memorable characters to be found on this one. In fact, a lot of people are turning in the worst performances of their career. Denzel and Pedro Pascal going to be shoved down our throats for the next fucking half decade at this point in time. Yuck. I can't think of a more overrated actor that has been placed in a position of prominence in a very long time. Because I know, like, he basically got his break, even though he's, just been kind of knocking around the bush in Hollywood since the 90s. But he cut his teeth in Narcos. But here's the thing. Like, I remember when that was the talk of the town, back when everybody was going, hey, these Netflix originals, bro, like, when they're coming out, like, they're top shit, okay? The Stranger Things series, oh my god, this is revolutionary stuff. And this Narcos is like, if Netflix can go ahead and keep their originals at this high level, oh my god, this streaming thing is really going to take, I almost said that with a straight face. Yeah, Narcos was a phenomenon. I haven't heard of the name Pedro Pascal associated with that outside of people going, why do we know Pedro? It's like, yeah, okay, he was the half a queer over on Game of Thrones in season 4 that got his head smushed by the mountain. The only time that I actually liked him when he was letting out cries of pain as, half Thor Bjornsson was taking care of business. He had a good speech in Mockingbird, and that's about it. After that, what? He just kind of, this is the way, into a microphone for Disney and Lucasfilm. I guess he plays a sad sack. He's going to play a club caddy in The Last of Us, but outside of that, like, why does he keep getting chances? He's an enigma like Rachel Zegler. I can't wait for him to mess up the Fantastic Four, or what is this, the third version of it in my lifetime. Great. He's supposed to be the smartest man alive when he can't even, keep himself composed on stage at Comic-Con. Whatever, bro. But Gladiator 2, yeah, eventually. The moment that there's anything that's even remotely masculine that comes along, or hell, even some half-assed action film comes along, this thing is just going to get, pushed off, forgotten. I don't think it's going to do very well. It'll be lucky to get third on the weekend. I mean, going back to this Variety article, what else do they have tabbed out here? Yeah, you got Wicked and then Gladiator 2. So yeah, by simple virtue of being the very distant third head of this Hydra, it'll find itself on the podium. But after that, this is when we're starting to see a little bit more of an uptick in releases ahead of Christmas. And it's going to fade fast, even with, Moana 2 getting a 67% on Rotten Tomatoes. And I'm not hearing good stuff, man. But that's neither here nor there, because I don't really think, like, Inside Out 2 got glowing praise, but it's the highest grossing animated film of all time. But as for Gladiator 2, it might end up performing well enough not to turn a profit, because you're sitting on like a $300 million budget, so it's got a ways to go. But Ridley Scott has aspirations of a Gladiator 3, which at this point, man, it's like, whatever. Is there anything that you can really do to not continue to ruin your legacy, okay? Because at this point in time, we've seen your body of work. At this point, I think we can confidently say you have more duds or you have more bad faith as opposed to classics. Like, this is the guy, yeah, you did Blade Runner, you did Alien, you did the original Gladiator, and now look at you. You've co-signed off on Blade Runner 2049, so many shitty Aliens projects, like Prometheus and Covenant, like, what are you doing? And then even when you try to do something new with Napoleon, what's happening? What's happening? And now, yeah, you pissed off the fans a long time ago, and now you're pissing off the people that you've been working with hand in glove for decades. All right, then. That's changed in him. Ridley Scott's really lazy filming style on Gladiator 2 slammed by his own cinematographer after 24 years of collaboration. So the guy that's been right at his side, filming all of his insanity since the turn of the century, calling him out for being a hack. Okay, Gladiator 2 cinematographer John Mathieson slams Ridley Scott's new lazy filmmaking style after 24 years of collaboration, serving as a follow-up to 2000's Gladiator. Oh, just whatever. Whatever, man. It's kind of like how they say that, you know, Rings of Power is based on the works of J.R.R. Tolkien. Gladiator 2 is based on the 2000's Best Picture. Like, whatever, man. During a recent interview on Doc Fix, a documentary storytelling podcast, Mathieson criticized Scott's filming process on Gladiator 2 as really lazy. According to the director of photography, Scott, unlike with many of his earlier movies, prefers to now use multiple cameras to capture scenes. Mathieson, however, can only light from one angle, meaning the cinematography suffers. Well, that makes a lot of sense. Scott's reliance on multiple cameras, the DP claims, is out of a desire to move quickly. As an anecdote to that, I think this movie, right, Gladiator 2 is actually, as remarkable as that is, and my praise is going to be awfully light of this, it was turned around in like 55 days, which is, for a movie of this scope and budget and prestige with this many moving parts, well, that's quite amazing. But it also plays into this criticism of him being, yeah, kind of lazy and just, it's like, screw it, just whatever we got is what we got, and, you know, just make the best of what we have. So, he is quite impatient, so he likes to get as much as he can at once. It's not very good for cinematography. Yeah, especially if something is purposefully lit, like that's your main shot, and it's like, nah, we're just gonna go with this other shot because I like it better. It's like, well, we could just redo. No, we got it. It's like, oh, okay. Coupled with his use of multiple cameras for a given scene, Scott has also come to rely much more on CGI. Yeah, that's just kind of a change with the industry. It's kind of strange how you got an 86-year-old Ridley Scott, you know, just comporting with the times better than many other people. It's not like, okay, CGI, it's a tool. Like, getting upset at a tool, like a carpenter getting mad at an air nailer when they were first coming in. It's like, it could either expedite your process, or it could be used to put a new piercing in your toe. So it's all what it does in the hands of the user. Okay, Mathieson said, in addition to more obvious uses, the DP says that Scott uses CGI far more often to remove unwanted elements from the shot, like cameras, boom mics, and shadows. Oh shit. Yeah, see, that's okay, that's the infuriating use of it. CG, computer graphic elements, now for tidying up, leaving things in shot, cameras and shot, microphones and shot, a bit of the set hanging down. Oh my god. Shadows from booms, and they just said, yeah, in Gladiator 2, we'll clean it up. Look at his older films and getting depth into the things. Like, could you imagine this is the same guy who crafted Blade Runner? And, you know, just saying, oh, we'll just clean it up in post. I beg your pardon. Now, look at his older films. And you're getting depth into things was a very much part of the lighting. You can't do that with a lot of cameras, but he just wants to get it all done. Having lots of cameras, I don't think it made the films any better. It's a bit of rush. That's changed in him, but that's the way he wants to do it. And I don't like it, and I don't think many people do, but people love his films. Do they really, though? Like, were people clamoring for a lot of latter Ridley Scott work? Not so much, okay? And he's Ridley Scott, and he can do whatever he wants. And yeah, you know, I'm going to go ahead and poo-poo the people that say, oh, he's 86, what do you want to do? It's like, if you're 86 and you can still do this stuff, I bet you kind of want to, because you take a look at the statistics of people who, you know, take retirement and then die within 5 years. Like, if you're still at the ability to perform at the level that he does, even though he's cutting corners and we're hearing about his laziness, like, if he is still sharp and willing to create, and people are willing to let him, why not, man? Like, I look at retirement as a death sentence. Like, I want to continue to do the stuff that I'm doing right now in perpetuity forever. okay? I see no reason to stop. And so, no, I'm not going to befall Ridley for going out there and making movies. I'm not going to try to morally grandstand, almost said something else, try to get him to, just spend your best days on his porch. That's for the likes of Joe Biden, who's clearly not up for the task. Ridley, he's still cracking jokes and, dunking on Frenchmen, which, for as bad as Napoleon was, it's like, you always got to give the man his flowers for, taking a swipe at the country with a white flag as their national symbol. Now it is this thing, going back to the quote, this thing of generally covering stuff rather than making me cook. Making me be the cook, cooking you something wonderful in my kitchen downstairs. You just go to the supermarket and you get one of those really big trolleys and you just put your arms on the shelf and you chuck all the stuff in and we'll sort it out later. But yeah, the other takeaways from that interview, impatient, he would use up to 8 or 11 cameras, leaves equipment in the background, edits it out later, doesn't block shots when rehearsing scenes. Oof. First Gladiator had 50 VFX shots. Back in 2000, which, that was the style at the time. But now this one had thousands, which is, of course, the style of the time. But let's just say, okay, we go ahead a couple of months. Who's going to remember this film? Okay, or is this just going to be another in the long list of films that are detracting from Ridley's legacy as opposed to building it up? How many people are going to fondly look back on Gladiator 2 the same way that they do with the original? Now, that's just not me, okay? Somebody who has Gladiator in the top 10, top 5 movies, my own personal rankings. And at one point in time, I'm going to have to sit down and really figure that out exactly where it sits, but I confidently place it, as one of the greatest of all times. I don't think anybody's going to be doing that with Gladiator 2 for a multitude of reasons, from the performances to the script and now to the shoddy mechanics. I think you know why A, Hollywood output has been so disposable recently, and B, why Ridley Scott has continued to do nothing but detract from his once great legacy. So with all that said, thank you all very much for the gift of your time. I've been Don Consuelo. I want you to follow your gut and get after it. Take care, everyone.